So once all that's said and done, I would go to transfer, and as I said before, you got main and zone 2, so I'm choosing which one I'm going to transfer into. For in this case, we're going to transfer to the main zone, and I have 4 keypads that are supported. It's probably rare that you would hook up this many. The TG401 supports only 2 directly into the back of the unit. However, if you're an Elan dealer and you want to use some external power supplies to power more than 2 OLEs, you can do that. So it's possible that you'd have a great room, for example, that's your second zone, and you want to have a keypad on each end of the great room for the second zone, but you also have a keypad in the main theater location. So that's a total of 3 keypads, which is beyond the power supply capabilities that are built into the TG401. So in that case, you would wire up an external power supply, and the guys in tech support could help you do that if you need more information on how to hook up more than 2. So we'd select the main zone by default in this case. We're programming keypad 1, and we would transfer to the OLE. So by clicking on this, you'll see that, again, we're calling up a sub-application, and in this case, I don't have an OLE connected, so it's just going to sit here and look until it times out. So we'll just give it some help and cancel it. And you see here that it failed, and normally it would download the configuration, and you'd be done. Auto build is where you would have it assign things like input selection, volume, etc. for the specific zone in question. So you remember at the start, we when manually doing this programming, we assigned the TG401 input to the OLE source, and that allows auto build to know that, okay, I want to send a main zone input 5 command versus a zone 2 input 5 command when I select that source, as well as volume. It'll take care of that for you too. And then you can clear auto build commands if you did it and didn't like it, or you just were a glutton for punishment and wanted to do it manually. You could clear all that out and then manually go in and assign those IR commands. Also here we have a couple of basic options for the OLE itself. Do you want to hear the click on the speaker? Do you want to turn on the IR sensor to enable repeating? A lot of folks install OLEs on the wall, but then the customer can still use their remote that came with the CD player, for example, to fire it at the OLE and use the OLE as a repeater. So if you want to keep that, leave that checked. If you want to disable that function, you would uncheck that box. Again, that might be nice to do if you've got IR flooding happening from the keypad being close to a window, for example. So here in the timeouts area, it gives you some choices for how long you want the OLE to stay turned on. All the way from short to very long, and that just affects how long the OLE stays awake, so to speak. So in a theater environment, you may want it to turn off very quickly so you don't have this light shining in the corner, but for more common areas, you might want to turn it to very long so that it stays on. You're not having to touch it to wake it up all the time. The last thing on the OLE section is to look at the IR library we talked about in the first class. Again, we've got one of these sub numbers here, so this is version 320 on the IR library maintenance program. You see on the left we have remote files and then IR commands. On remote files, if I come down to that same Sony DVD player again and pick it, you can see here all the commands that I have. If I click on a given command, like let's say play, this is the actual IR code sequence that is issued when I send the play command. We have the ability to enable toggle bits for that particular code. In this case, we don't have a toggle bit, but you may notice that some devices send one code for the first time you hit the button, and they send a different code the second time you hit the button. And for years, this has plagued integrators in trying to figure out how to get remotes to handle that. The OLE can indeed handle that. You just have to tell it to do it. So you give it one command for code A and a different command for code B. We also can learn from a CCF file. So you can bring in the hex codes from a CCF and use those to copy over. So if you're on Remote Central, for example, and find something you want to use, you can do that through here. We have an IR learner that we sell that allows you to capture IR into the SunTools application. So it's great for to keep on the truck or the van as a part of your toolkit. This is how you would learn new remotes into the system, and also allows you to test via that same device. So you would capture it first and then test it out to make sure that the capture was good. So this addresses all of the IR maintenance that you would do on any of the remotes that you're trying to add. So with that concludes the SunTools training. I hope this has been helpful for you all. Please take the quiz, and if you have any questions, feel free to call our tech support team.